tomorrow's test is just front and back. It's not that many questions, and if you know your definition of a logarithm, like, I feel like you can do it pretty quickly. Like, maybe I did it in like 5 minutes, maybe, which means like 20 minutes, right? Like, it shouldn't be that bad. We'll see how it goes. But definitely, what do you have to know? The definition of a logarithm. On that last worksheet we did, I don't know if I passed that out or not, but on the back side where you had to evaluate all the logarithm stuff and it said do without a calculator. Section 3.3 that said do without a calculator. You have to know if I give you log a of x equals y, you have to know that that means a to the y equals x. You got to be able to give me the answer. The answer is the exponent. Don't just rewrite it. Simplify it. If I say log 5 of 1 over 25, and I say find the exact value, you have to know that means 5 to the what power equals 1 over 25. So you got to think about, do I need a fractional exponent? Do I need a negative exponent? I got to understand the rules of exponents. So you can rewrite it as 5 to the what equals 1 over 25. And if you get stuck, your goal is rewrite this as a power of 5. So you might be able to look at this and say, oh, well, 25 is 5 squared, but it's in the bottom and I need to move it up. So what do I need to do to move it up? I need to make it a negative. Do not tell me 5 to the negative 2 is the answer. A logarithm is an exponent. The answer is the exponent. So the answer to this, all you have to write down is negative 2. You don't have to show any work, but you might need a little work on some of them. That's why I don't let you have a calculator, because 1, you could do change of base formula and use a calculator and get the right answer. And 2, some of you have those fancy calculators that will do that, log 5 of 1 over 25. And I want to know that you know what it means. So that would be the answer. That is the majority of the no calculator tests. What else is on there? ln is a logarithm, right? You need to know all those things. If I gave you ln of e to the 4/5, what's the answer to that? 4/5, right? Because ln and e just canceled. Hopefully after doing all of these problems, that's like, they really are that quick that you can do some of them. What else is on the no calculator section? The properties of logarithms. Again, that worksheet that you did, I don't know if I passed that out or not. I think I did, didn't I? Oh, no, I didn't. This worksheet that I'll pass back in a minute, the whole front side was properties of logarithms. Putting them back together, breaking them apart. So if I said log 7 of 2x squared, right? And if I said break that apart, I want you to know that multiplication turns into addition. That exponents out front you can bring down, right? So if this was on my paper, I would say that's the same as log 7 of 2 plus log 7 of x squared, which I'm going to just say is x, and I'm going to bring that 2 out front because the exponent can come down. And then I could go the other way. I could give you this, and I could ask you to put it back towards this. So this way and this way. You don't need a calculator for that, so that's why I threw it on the no calculator part. We did a couple in our notes. This was 3, 4. I think this was 3, 4 properties of logarithms. Check those notes out. We did a couple in our notes with some crazy stuff, like with some fractions, some crazy, like if you had two things in the bottom, how do you break it up? How do you put it back together? Definitely put a couple exciting ones on your test. Did you see the answers? The only other thing that's on this test, kids, is graphs. That's it, right? You need to look over your graph of exponential functions. Right? That's like y equals a to the x, or e to the x, where e, is a special number. You need to know exponential growth or decay, right? It could look like this. That's when this is positive. It could be like y equals a to the negative x. That's going to be decay. That's going to look like this. Big idea, make an XY chart. know that exponential functions have an asymptote, a horizontal asymptote, because you can never get zero. Throw in some stuff there. There's some matching of graphs because I just want you to kind of know the shapes. So there's some matching, which would be pretty easy to do if you look over them tonight. But also, you got to keep the difference between exponential graphs and log graphs. Remember that they're inverses. So if you know what this looks like, you should know that if this has a horizontal asymptote, that logarithmic graphs are going to have a vertical asymptote. So if I'm graphing a just log something, then it's going to have a vertical asymptote that's never going to get to zero, and it's going to go up slowly like this. And again, I could do transformations, and I could do that. And so there's a few that you're going to match, but there's also two you're going to graph. You're going to have to graph an exponential graph. You're going to have to graph a log graph without a calculator, which means you have to be able to know how to pick those points, right? And we did one like this on the worksheet. I think the same worksheet that I'm going to pass back to you, right? We did some of these together, exponential graphs, log graphs. So this worksheet that I'm going to pass back to you, this is a great review for tomorrow's test because all the stuff that's on tomorrow's test is on this worksheet. If I gave you log 7 of x, right? Not giving you a calculator, so you can't use change of base, or you can't use that button if you have that button on your calculator. You've got to be able to pick powers of 7, right? That's what goes here. So if I was going to pick values here, I could pick 7. Because if I pick 7, log 7 of 7, that's an exponent of 1, right? X is your power, y is your exponent. I could pick 49, but I don't want to graph 49, so I'm going to pick 1, because log anything of 1 is the exponent of 0. And then I'm going to pick 1/7 because I know that's an exponent of -1. I could throw something here besides x, right? Like I could throw x minus 2, like the one on your paper that you can look over. All right, that's what's on tomorrow's test. So as you're going through review tonight, if you want to kind of look at those questions only, look at this worksheet, that's a great idea. Everything else that we've done is on the calculator section, which is population growth models. I don't even think there's graphing on the second part. It's all just working out those darn problems. A lot of equations, kind of like the worksheet that you just turned in. So if you really want a good idea of what to study, the two worksheets, right? This is no calculator. The one you just turned in is a really good study guide for the calculator section. So I'm gonna go and get the copies that I made for you that have all that other stuff on it. But like all of this, this is on Friday's part. This is tomorrow, which I'm gonna give you this and I'll show you again. I will tell you that this is the formula sheet that I'm gonna give you. The 4 formulas that I gave you this chapter. That's what it looks like. I'm just printing this off and making copies of it. So hopefully that'll make sense to you. This is what we use for APR giveaway. I don't think that's what it is. Here's your review, alright? I want to give you some time to work on this. And how about this? Let's just change that. I hate saying it's not due till Friday because I know some of you aren't even going to look at this tonight, but I can't help that if you don't look at it tonight to study for your test. But let's wait and turn our homework in on Friday so that you have something to study tomorrow night. Because although we have part 1 of our test tomorrow, you should still be looking at all those other things for Friday's part of the test. These have odd answers in the back, so I cannot stress enough how much you should check your odd answers. And if you want, I can go through these and tell you if you're not sure which ones are on which part. I'm going to pass this back really quick, and actually the one that you just turned in, since this is not until Friday's part of the test, I'll give these back to you tomorrow so I actually can go through and look at them and make sure that you have right answers on some of them, and then you'll have it back tomorrow, and this will be a great study guide for Friday's part of the test. That's exciting, right? All right, now let's pass these back real quick. Oh, gosh, what's next? Whenever you take that as part of the test. you know, like there's a lot more to work out. Like that's why I broke it into 2 days, because the second part you really do need like a whole class period to take. So if you have like a TA tomorrow or a study hall tomorrow that you can come back and actually use the whole time to do it, that would be perfect. But if you use 20 minutes on the part tomorrow, like there's no way you're gonna get it finished. Like, I don't. I think you could go rush typing all that in your calculator because there's just so much calculator stuff. You guys just started pushing yesterday. But use this one I just gave you as a really good guide. All those at the bottom here, which I didn't grade all of them, but I graded 5 of them. Those are all things you should be able to do without a calculator tomorrow. I will tell you on the calculator part of the test, there's about 5 questions that just ask you to type stuff in your calculator. Like find ln of 27, right? Like just showing you that you can type in your calculator and round to the right decimal. Hopefully everyone will get done tomorrow with like at least 10 minutes left, and we can talk about Friday's part of the test. Because it would be e to negative 1 power, right? Like it would just know that e would be 1, but if you have to move it up, it'll be negative. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go see if I have those copies in there. I really have to see what happens. I will be here in the morning, like 7:45, if you want to come in. I'll be right back. Also, if you run into questions today on the review, feel free to come and see me. I do teach every hour, but 7 hours my prep. 5th hour, I just have Lucas. And usually like the end of each period, I have some time. So if you have a study hall or something and you work on this and you get stuck, if you don't come in the middle of the period, you can come to me at the end of the period and I can probably help you. How about I circle the ones that would be similar to what you can see tomorrow, right? Does that sound like, and then you'll know the other ones aren't. 5 and 6, anything with graphing is on tomorrow's part. Anything with graphing. There's no graphing on the calculator part. There's just a few graphs on the no calculator part. Make sure you just know the basic idea of what they look like, where the asymptotes are. That's important. All the solving equation stuff, like anything that was similar to what was the worksheet that you just turned in, that's on Fridays. So 43 through 46, Fridays. 55, Fridays, change the base. Change the base. 59 and 62, those are just matching a graph, and there are questions like 59 through 62, I don't know why I just didn't make you do all those, I only gave you 2 of them, but there are going to be 4 graphs and 4 equations that you just have to match the graph that's already graphed for you. So just, again, that's kind of some practice with that. And then I think the rest of them are all like story problem stuff. 74, 83. Yeah. And so that really does kind of break the review up kind of in half and half. And so if you only want to do tonight's review, that's why I changed this so you don't have to turn homework in until Friday. You can do your review in 2 parts. Like do tonight's part, and then tomorrow night, or if you're not taking the test till Monday, go back and do the other part so your brain can kind of separate those two things. And that way you can ask questions on this part for tomorrow morning, and then Friday morning I'll be in here also. If you're not going to be here, no, I think everyone's going to be here tomorrow, right? Grady's not going to be here. So I'll give you your worksheet back so that you'll have it to look at. But everyone else, I'll give you your worksheet back tomorrow, so that'll be another thing that you can study for Friday's part of the test.
Will the grading mess up if we put, like, we don't go in order?
No, that's totally fine. If you want to just do the circled ones and then go back and do the other ones later in a different order, it's okay. I'll make sure I remember that. Other overall questions right now? You just want to make sure that, yeah, like you break that up. So that should have been, it should have been log m of 5. The 5 is only the first power right now. So that would just be a 1 half in front, and then you can break that up plus, that would make 3 halves log m. So you just want to make sure when you look at your math, you're breaking it apart, that you have no multiplication lines, no powers left. Okay? These papers, could I pass them back to your room? I just skipped you. Oh, there you go. All right. And so if you want to look through this one, it's really nice when you do the other part of the review for Friday. This is the formula sheet you would have, so I think it's really smart to try to do that review only with this formula sheet and see where you get, and then obviously go back to your notes. But that's what I'm going to give you on the test, so that kind of lets you know, do I know everything? So we don't miss the Friday. That's Friday. Sorry. I'll try. Hopefully we'll have a few minutes tomorrow that I can talk about Friday's test again, but you don't have the population one. So when you there's one on your review tonight, when you get to it, here's a little trick. The population one is usually just this formula. It's just there's no compounding, right? So it's just like 1 plus your weight to the t power. And so it's not on there, but you just got to remember that that's just your initial population. And so it's kind of on there, but you have to really go with the k is not.
For this one, how it says it goes to describe the
Right, and I don't really care that you describe it. Like I just want to make sure that you know that what right? And then up 3 and negative 6 over. I'm never going to make you describe it. It's just the fact that you're matching them up. That's really helpful if you notice, right? Like if you know this up, there's no way you're matching it. It's like, oh, that one's up.
Okay. And then if that once I go up to that, does that mean I can wrong because it's not like
It's right. You got to know that that means normally the asymptote that because we moved it up 3. I don't think you should be getting exactly 3. It's like 0 in there. What's 4 to 0?
well, and then that would be 3.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. It's just for the number. So like you would want to make sure like this goes up, and if you was not matching on the one you have in the graph, I want to know that you know the asymptote is here. So I want to see if it doesn't go away. Okay, thanks. On those ones that say graph by hand and describe the transformation, you don't have to write out the description of the transformation. I'm not going to ask you to do that. It's nice if you're aware. This means it moved up. This means it reflected. It makes things easier on you. But you just have to be able to match a graph, make a decent graph, maybe talk about domain and range. Remember that all of these have an asymptote. Logarithms have a vertical asymptote. Exponential have a horizontal asymptote. I need to see that asymptote, and I marked off on some people's papers before on the homework quiz because there was no asymptote on there. I couldn't tell there was an asymptote. And so remember that all of these graphs have asymptotes. So don't be making your graph crazy.
So you want us to draw the asymptote?
Not necessarily, you can draw it with a dotted line, it's perfect, but I just want to see it, right? Like if there's an asymptote, like that very first one, I think there's an asymptote at 3. I want to see that it doesn't go away like this. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't draw the line, it's okay. But if you make a graph like this, I can tell there's not an asymptote. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, look, I'm going to give you, Jake and Steven, don't leave when the bell rings, so I want to give you this worksheet back to study, okay?
If there's a negative out front of like -4 and then you put 0, would it be -1? Or would it make the whole thing 0?
Because it's actually having to do 4 and then negative.
Okay.
4 to the 0, and then it's actually
So that would be the same.
-1.
I think 0.